Hey guys, welcome back. I've been using this Android head unit on my 2016 BMW X1 for a few weeks, and I thought I would give a real average user's review. I will go over some key points and hopefully give you guys a rough idea of what it is like living with this head unit. If you want to see how to install this head unit, click the link in the upper right corner for a more detailed video. The quality of the provided cables are top-notch and fit into existing OEM sockets without issues. The fitment of the screen bezel is right on point, but the plastic quality isn't as good as the OEM piece, which is expected. Installing was pretty straightforward, even though it didn't come with instructions. All the ports are unique and are different colors, and they are labeled in English, so it's hard to mess up. There were some cables and empty sockets, which left me with some questions. For example, I didn't know that I needed a separate aux cable to get the audio from the Android side. But more on that later. Overall, I would rate this installation a solid 4.5 out of 5. The only thing preventing it from getting a 5 is the missing instructions. I think if you have more experience than I do, this installation should be a breeze. My preconception about customer service in China has been blown away by this experience. After installing, I had some initial configuration issues and many questions. And to my surprise, the seller answered every single one of them in a timely manner, and they even followed up with me first to see if I tried their suggestion, which is unheard of even for domestic companies. They even provided me with an updated version of an app that I had issues with, which was also a pleasant surprise. There is a time zone difference between here and there, so I would send them my questions at night, and by next morning I would see the answers. Also, there was virtually no language barrier, so I have to give them a 5 out of 5 for customer service. The screen quality was one of the main concerns I had buying a no-name brand head unit. I couldn't find any information on the product page about the screen type, but the viewing angles and brightness are top-notch even at direct sunlight. To me, it looks the same as my Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, which is a flagship phone from last year. The screen resolution is 1920 by 720p on a 12.3-inch screen, which calculates to be about 166 pixels per inch, or ppi. In terms of ppi, it is comparable to an iPhone 3GS, which came out in 2009. But that's all paper specs. In the real-world experience, it's perfectly adequate because when you're driving, you don't pay close attention to the screen, and you don't even look at it for more than a few seconds at a time. At least you shouldn't. So in this use case, a low PPI count is not a problem. You can still see the pixels, but to me it was not a concern at all. Thanks to 4 gigs of RAM, I found no delay in the touch input, and going from 6.5 inches to a whopping 12.3 inches has been life-changing. Especially when using navigation apps, there's just so much more map on the screen. The widescreen aspect ratio makes the car feel completely new. And with all that said, I give the screen a 5 out of 5. Android Auto and Apple Carplay was one of the main reasons I got this head unit. It's an all-in-one app that integrates your smartphone to the car's head unit. You can take calls, play music, and of course use it for directions. Nowadays, it's a must-have, and even the cheapest of cars come with this feature. iPhone users get a leg up on this race because it supports wireless Apple CarPlay, so no need to plug in your phone at all. Unfortunately, I don't have an iPhone, so I couldn't test this feature. For Android Auto, there is no wireless option, but as soon as you plug in the phone to one of the USB outlets, it starts the app and you're greeted with the home screen. Out of the box, there was a glitch where it would display the Android Auto on the left side and a blank Apple CarPlay screen on the right side. When I told the seller, they sent me a new file for this Q-Link app, and now it's a full-screen Android Auto. One gripe I have is that the resolution for the Android Auto app is very low. It's lower than what you see on other screens, so it looks kinda crappy. I can live with it, but it's definitely a big drawback, especially because Android Auto is one of the main reasons I got this head unit. The other option for navigation is to use the Google Maps app paired with an active 4G SIM card. In that case, you have the full screen resolution and it looks way better. But if you're like me and you're too cheap to pay monthly for another phone line just for your car's head unit, you can download the offline maps and use it that way, but it doesn't have traffic information, so it's a bit limited in that respect. So for this section, I give it a 3.5. This head unit runs on Android 10, but it also supports the original BMW software. This is important because BMW integrates important vehicle status information in their software. Everything here is the same, so that's a nice touch. You will have to play around with the settings a bit to make everything work. Again, the seller walked me through everything and this was easy. However, for me right now, even after having it on the correct settings, I am getting this nasty blank screen on the right. It used to have a nice BMW background graphic and other information, but I can't get it to show up anymore. So I will have to play around with the settings further. I know it can be fixed because I had it before. So that's the downside of these custom head units. It's not as professional or plug and play as the other name brands. For the integration of BMW's system, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Because this runs on Android 10, it has access to the App Store. You can download pretty much any app that's available on the App Store, and there are a ton. I'm pretty basic, so I downloaded YouTube and Netflix for when I'm chilling in the car. This also has 4G and Wi-Fi capability, but like I mentioned before, I don't want to pay monthly just for this. So what I did is download all the apps while it's parked in my garage where it has Wi-Fi, and when I'm out, I use my phone's hotspot to connect and watch videos. Hotspot nowadays are pretty fast, so I'm not running into any connection issues. As expected, it has all the basic features like radio, Bluetooth, phone calls, music streaming, and on top of that, it has a web browser, sound equalizer, built-in GPS, and 64 gigs of internal storage where you can store music and other files. There are other optional accessories available, such as a backup camera, front camera, and DVR, but I didn't option for those. Feature-wise, this blows the stock head unit out of the water, and I would even say it has more features than what most people would use. So this definitely deserves a 5 out of 5. So with all the scores added up, we get a 27 out of 30. The score might not mean much because it's not relative to anything else, but if you have a BMW and if you want to get a large Android-based head unit and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, I think this is a very good solution. There are a couple more reputable companies that make similar head units, but from what I read, they also have their own issues, and they cost a lot more when comparably optioned. So for the price, I do recommend this head unit, but you should go into it knowing that it's not perfect, and it requires some back and forth with the seller, and even then it's still not perfect. The reason I still recommend it is because the original BMW head unit was just so outdated and didn't have much features at all. This adds a lot of features and it definitely makes the car feel more modern. So I hope this helps in making your decision. If you have any questions at all, because I obviously can't cover everything, just let me know in the comments and I'll try my best to answer it. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys on the next one.